Simon and Robin Callum relocate from Chicago, where Robin miscarried their first child, to a Los Angeles suburb after Simon takes a new job, where they plan to try conceiving another child. They meet with a real estate agent who shows the couple a luxurious home. The following day, as the couple goes shopping, Simon is approached by a shy and reserved man who introduces himself as someone who knows Simon, though Simon cannot recall him. He accurately recalls Simon's name and tells him they studied in the same school and grade. When he introduces himself as Gordon Gordo Mosley, Simon suddenly remembers the man. Simon takes Gordo's number and promises to call him later to catch up on life before leaving with Robin. They return home and go to sleep. The following morning, Simon goes to work while Robin unpacks their luggage. When she goes outside to throw rubbish, Robin is distracted by the noise of a baby in a car, so she goes to have a look. However, the child's parents, Lucy and Ron, appear and welcome an awkward Robin to the neighborhood and invite her for tea. Robin goes for a shower and is surprised by a doorbell. When she opens the door, she only finds a bottle of wine gift wrapped with a note from Gordo. When Simon appears, Robin questions how he came across their address, but Simon doesn't know. They go to sleep. The following morning, Lucy appears at their home with her baby. Robin is fascinated with the child, and Lucy allows her to hold the baby and comments that she's natural when Robin is able to placate her expertly. Lucy asks if Robin wants a child of her own, and she tells Lucy about her miscarriage, which pushed her into a rough spot in her life. Robin later starts working, but is interrupted when Gordo appears at her door. She thanked him for the gift and asked if Simon thanked him, but Gordo said he hadn't contacted him. Gordo offers Robin a list of contacts of all the local people, like gardeners, plumbers, and maids, along with his own number and a can of glass cleaner. Before leaving, Gordo comments that he admires the architecture of the house, and Robin invites him inside for a tour. While going through the house, Gordo notices toys for a baby and asks Robin if she has a child. Though caught off guard, she regains her composure and says no, before resuming the tour. While going through the house, she also mentions how the pond is sitting empty and they must fill it with fish. She tells him to wait, as Simon will return soon, and they can have dinner together. During dinner, Gordo keeps mentioning how he's always thinking about his old class fellows. He asks Simon if he's in contact with anyone else, but Simon says he hasn't talked to anyone from school. He also privately tells Robin not to offer Gordo more wine. Gordo asks Simon about his work, and Simon reveals that he works in cybersecurity for a large corporation. Gordo suddenly mentions his belief that the government is doing surveillance on the public and that the people should retaliate, which makes his host awkward. To change the mood, he mentions how Simon was a class president in high school and made an ingenious campaign slogan, "Simon Says," like the children's game, where whatever Simon says would happen. Gordo then says Simon has a beautiful wife and a big house, which makes their hosts even more awkward. To stop Gordo from talking about him exclusively, Simon asks what he's been up to, and Gordo says he went into military school after high school and did 2 tours, which wasn't a good experience for him, but he believes some good will come out of all the bad. He again mentions that he's happy for Simon's success in his life and raises a toast for him. Later, when Gordo is gone, Simon reveals to Robin that he feels bad for Gordo as he's not changed at all since school, and that he does not see Gordo as a friend but more of an awkward man who's had a sad life. Simon and Robin go to a corporate meeting at Simon's office, where Simon introduces Robin to his colleagues. When they ask what she does, though Robin tries to be modest by presenting herself as a freelance designer, Simon boasts in her stead and says Robin is managing a major designer firm based in Chicago that does consultancy for major corporations while also managing his household. He takes her inside his office and tells her that his real boss is his wife. When Robin asks if Simon is worried about Robin going back to work, Simon replies that he's comfortable with whatever decision Robin makes, so long as she doesn't stress herself out. When they return home at night, another note and gift await them from Gordo, thanking them for dinner and returning the favor. The gift is fish food. When they look into their pond, they find koi fish. Robin says they should thank Gordo for the gesture, but Simon finds it troubling since Gordo appeared on their property on his own when they were gone. However, Robin insists that Gordo is just socially awkward. Simon reveals that Gordo's nickname in school was Gordo the Weirdo due to his weird nature, and he even writes it on a note with Gordo's number on his refrigerator. The following morning, after Robin returns from a job and starts working, Gordo appears at her door, asking for Simon. Robin replies that he's not home and thanks him for the fish. She invites him inside for tea. While inside, Gordo sets up the TV for her and, despite her protests, offers to take out the trash for her. However, when he goes inside the kitchen, He sees his nickname scribbled on the note and instantly leaves the house. Later that night, Simon invites a group of friends over, and they discuss Gordo's weird behavior. In their opinion, Gordo has been enforcing a one-sided friendship with them, but Robin repeatedly denies this and insists that Gordo has been nothing but generous to them. To add to Gordo's weirdness, Simon mentions that a few hours after the incident, they received a call from Gordo inviting them to a private dinner alongside another couple. Their friends are even more confused and suggest not accepting his invitation. Simon says because Robin is very nice and cannot prevent him from entering the house, Gordo will keep returning unless he and Simon have a proper conversation, so he must accept the invitation. Later, Simon and Robin drive to the location and are surprised to see a massive suburban house with a gate. They also discover they have arrived before the other couple. They meet Gordo at the front door and they offer them a bottle of wine. Gordo invites them inside and tells them that the other couple canceled because of an issue with their babysitter, leaving them three alone again. Simon asks Gordo if he has a wife, but Gordo says it's a long story, but he no longer does. When he enters the kitchen to prepare dinner, Gordo receives a call and leaves abruptly to deal with a work problem, leaving them alone. But he promises to return after 5 minutes and tells them to stay and have a drink. This makes Simon even more suspicious. Furthermore, he theorizes Gordo is obsessed with Robin, hence his uninvited appearance when Simon isn't home. Simon decides to explore the house and finds a woman's dress in the bedroom, suggesting he has a female partner. They also find a room for a child. Suddenly, Gordo returns and the two rush downstairs. When Gordo appears, Simon straight up asks what work he does to be able to afford all this and to be asked for on such short notice. Gordo suspiciously replies that Simon has caught his lie. He says he did not leave for a work-related excuse but to talk to his ex-wife, who has taken their 2 children. Furthermore, she owns the house and everything, and he's bound to her. He only left because he did not want to make his guests awkward with the conversation. When Gordo tells them to prepare for dinner, Simon stands up and says he needs to talk to Gordo privately. He gives Robin the keys to their car and tells her to wait outside. Robin reluctantly leaves and apologizes to Gordo. He tells Gordo never to visit them again. As Simon leaves the house, Gordo looks sadly at Robin. When they drive towards the gate, it does not open, despite Simon pressing the horn. He grows furious and goes to confront Gordo while Robin tries to stop him, and Gordo finally opens the gate. The next day, Robin finds the koi dead and their dog missing. She calls Simon at work. When Simon drives to Gordo's house to confront him, he discovers the house actually belongs to another couple. They call the police, who reveal that the actual owner of the house, Mr. Ryan, owns an executive transport service business and leased a car to Gordo. Gordo had access to Ryan's garage to pick up and return the Cadillac that he leased, and he used this access to enter the main house while the couple was away on vacation. However, Simon is concerned about his dog and asks the police to question Gordo, but they cannot search his residence without a permit. With no recourse left, they decide to print out missing posters. Robin begins to suspect she is not alone in the house, finding faucets on and hearing footsteps. Paranoid and unable to sleep, she visits Lucy to discuss her concerns. When Lucy's baby starts crying, she goes to check on her. Using this opportunity, Robin goes to her bathroom and steals Lucy's prescription pills. She wakes up when Simon is asleep to take her pills, but hears more creaking noise. She tries to awaken Simon, who is sleeping deeply, and decides to investigate alone. At her front door, Robin is surprised when the dog suddenly returns. Simon is of the opinion that Gordo is messing with them. The following morning, as Robin collects their mail, she finds a letter of apology from Gordo in the mail. Gordo apologizes for the situation and admits that he didn't want to invite the two to the actual place where he lives, as Gordo's life is not as much of a success story as Simon's. Furthermore, he will respect their wishes and leave them alone. The message ends with a note to Simon that says Gordo was willing to let bygones be bygones, but not anymore. When Robin asks what it means, Simon claims he does not know what it refers to. However, Robin still has trouble sleeping. When she does sleep, she has a nightmare of Gordo spying on her while she's showering. Simon asks his boss about the promotion and is told that his only competition is his co-worker, Danny McDonald. Meanwhile, Robin's increasing paranoia while home alone causes her to hear strange noises, causing her to faint one afternoon. She wakes up in bed the next morning, and Simon waits for her in the living room. Simon tells her that he might get a promotion. He wanted to tell this to Robin last night, but he found her unconscious. Simon confronted her about the stolen pills, as this had been a problem for her in Chicago. Robin tells Simon to apologize to Gordo, as he apologized to them, since the thought of Gordo has made her paranoid, and she keeps expecting him to show up. However, Simon tries to pin her paranoia on her consumption of pills. He insists that the situation with Gordo is over, but Robin says it's not and mentions the bygones be bygones thing. Simon becomes furious and insists that the subject is closed, but later becomes calm and calmly tells her that time will heal everything and that she needs to be strong. He drains the pills in the sink. Time passes, things improve, and Robin discovers she is pregnant. One day, while out shopping with Lucy, she finds Gordo watching her. Later, when Simon's family appears to congratulate the couple, Robin takes the opportunity to go outside with Simon's sister, Joan, to talk about Simon's childhood. She brings up Gordo, and Joan tells her that in high school, Simon and his friend Greg Pearson reported that Gordo had been taken advantage of by an older boy, which led to Gordo getting bullied and transferring schools due to them being in a small and backward town. Later, Robin sneaks into Simon's office and opens his locked drawer. There, she discovers that Simon has run background checks on both Danny McDonald and Gordo, who has spent his life in and out of prison due to several crimes and was even discharged by the military due to bad conduct.
However, Robin becomes suspicious as Simon runs a background check without telling her. Lucy tells her to just talk to Simon, but she knows Simon won't be honest with her. She decides to look up Greg Pearson instead. Looking up online, she discovers that he's a chiropractor and books an appointment, during which she mentions she's Simon's wife and wants to talk about Gordo. She brings Greg up to pace about the situation, but Greg tells her to talk to Simon. However, Robin insists that she cannot. Greg reluctantly reveals that Gordo's molestation story was fabricated by Simon. As a result of the false report, Gordo suffered physical and mental abuse at the hands of everyone, but Simon did not reveal that he lied. Gordo's extremely religious father thought Gordo was gay and tried to burn him alive, leading to his arrest for attempted murder and Gordo being sent to military school. When Robin asks why Simon would do such a thing, Greg replies, "Because he could." He goes on to explain that Simon was a bully. At night, Robin confronts Simon, but he denies responsibility, calling it a little prank. Furthermore, Simon insists that he also had a bad life with his father, but he made something out of it, unlike Gordo. He accuses Gordo of being stuck in the past. When Robin asks him to apologize for being responsible for causing Gordo to have a miserable childhood, Simon asks if Robin is expecting an apology from the girls who bullied her in high school. Furious, Robin slaps him on the face and accuses him of still being a bully. She tells him that his apology is important for their family to be fixed. Simon feigns ignorance by saying he doesn't know where to approach Gordo, but Robin shows him the background check that Simon did on Gordo to prove that he does. Later, once he's calmed down, he asks Robin what he can do to make it up to her, but she replies that he's asking the wrong person. At her behest, he reluctantly tracks down Gordo and delivers a non-apology. Gordo knows Simon is insincere and warns Simon that the past is not done with him yet. Furious, Simon attacks Gordo and threatens to destroy him should he approach his family again. Upon returning home, he lies to Robin, saying Gordo was so appreciative and implying that Gordo has accepted his apology. When he hugs her with tears in his eyes, Robin accepts his lie. Simon is promoted and holds a celebration party at his house with his colleagues. While he's giving a speech, however, a thud noise interrupts him. A rock breaks their window when they turn on the lights to investigate. When Simon goes out to investigate, he's attacked by Danny McDonald, who accuses Simon of fabricating information and ruining his career in order to get the promotion. Robin suddenly goes into labor, and they rush her to the hospital. She gives birth to a boy. While at the hospital, Simon receives a call from his senior, Kevin, informing him that he has been fired by the company for lying about Danny McDonald. When he goes to check up on Robin, Robin says she wants to separate. Simon returns home to find another massive gift box. Meanwhile, Gordo himself appears at the hospital where Robin is and enters Robin's room with flowers. The gift consists of a baby carrier, another gift box consisting of a key to their house, and a CD with the words, "Play Me." It contains the audio of Simon suggesting to Robin that Gordo wants to marry Robin. Meanwhile, Robin is surprised when she wakes up and finds a wounded Gordo beside her bed, but he offers her the flowers and congratulates her. Meanwhile, Simon opens a third gift box, which contains another disc. It shows Gordo constantly spying on Robin. Another footage is shot from inside their home that shows Gordo had drugged Robin's beverage prior to standing over Robin after she had fainted, seemingly about to use her. Gordo wears the mask of a monkey, a lifelong fear for Simon, as he touches an unconscious Robin on the bed before the camera cuts. Meanwhile, Gordo tells Robin that Simon caused his injuries. Simon rushes to the hospital but finds Robin's room empty. When he goes outside, he sees Gordo but barely misses him, who smirks at him as the elevator doors close. As he goes to look for Gordo, Gordo calls Simon to taunt him, refusing to confirm whether or not he slept with Robin and fathered the baby, just as Simon refused to come clean about the fake story he made up about Gordo years before. He mentions that no truth will be enough for a liar and tells him to confirm it by looking into the baby's eyes. However, Robin is already with the baby and the nurse puts the curtains on the window. Furious with him, Robin refuses to let Simon see the baby. With his marriage and career destroyed, Simon breaks down as Gordo looks on. Satisfied with his revenge, Gordo walks away, tossing away the sling from his arm, and the movie ends.